Lieutenant Colonel Mike Iron Man Sterling thought he was seeing one. A shy, middle-aged civilian nurse, the barrier between him and medical care, he asked. He saw his hair turning gray. A soft voice, and he showed no weakness. I have never seen the woman that the woman once had. Marina's dying artery was blocked with her. Keep empty fingers in a vacuum cleaner for 2 hours. The heat of the sun. He did not see the legend. He whispered in the camp. The 1st Naval Unit rejected it. Help, find a real nuclear person. I don't know if it's the woman standing in front of her. He didn't just serve the main thing. He waited. And when it finally rolled her sleeve, the color on her skin brings the entire hospital together. Stop. Automatic doors. At the Naval Medical Center in San Diego, known as Balboa, it slipped. It opens with a sharp whistle, creating a gust of wind. In the unusually warm month of November, a person who looks like a cutie granite and stirring. Lieutenant Colonel Mike Sterling didn't walk. He marched. Even if there is an obstacle on the left step, he gave up the pain that was coming out of him. He was an old breed of man. The Navy sailor has a jaw. He could cut glass and his eyes could have the color of his eyes. Stormy Atlantic Ocean. Even among civilians. Clothes, tight-fitting polo shirt. He suffered from muscle spasms and weakness. Long pants, reflecting authority. He was the 3rd commander. Commander, 5th Marine Corps, legend the Dark Horse Army, and it wasn't him. He has learned to wait. Waiting table with fingers. Dawn broke. The new non-commissioned officer behind the desk, a hospital worker. The student had not yet completed high school. He raised his head and was overcome with grief. My lord, the young man shouted. I need advice. Orthopedics. Now Sterling shouted. His voice low noise, like a tank running empty. Garage. My hips feel like a person. He replaced the broken glass fitting. What did you understand, Colonel? Sterling leaned forward. My son, I have the battalion is deployed in 3 weeks. But I won't. I have time for meetings. Bomb fragments moving from my waist. Fallujah, and decided to emigrate. Today in the south. Find me a doctor. Preferably. Someone who knows the difference between femur and fibula. Vestibule. It was busy. It was a Friday afternoon, witching hour for military hospitals, accidents in training, weekend soldiers and veterans gathered together, a chaotic symphony of pain. I will do it, I will do it. Sir, look who is free. Please take one. Place. Sterling wasn't sitting. He was walking back and forth. Every step sent an electric shock. But he refused to show his back. The pain was just the exhaustion leaving the body. Or so the expression went. But this pain, I feel like the weakness is fading away and it's getting worse. Like a hot poker spinning in the slime. 10 minutes passed, then 20. Sterling patience, never known to be a strong side, tearing like an old rope. Finally, the side door opened for me and I stepped outside. She was a woman. She was short, maybe 1.75 meters. With a changed image age. Her cleaning clothes are gone in the usual way. Blue seal, without sharp edges. Sterling admires his Marines. Her hair is pulled back in a messy bun, silver thread, fighting a losing battle they fought with the dark brown color. She was wearing comfortable, worn-out shoes and reading dangerously standing glasses. She looked at her nose. She looked at Sterling. Like a sharp and sideways eye, a substitute teacher or grandmother baked cookies, not a fighter. A person who can heal the wounded naval commander's machine. Lieutenant Colonel Sterling, he said. She called out. Her voice was quiet, almost a melody that cuts the hole in the well. The waiting room. Sterling stopped pacing. He turned and looked over her shoulder. Wait for a doctor or at least a chief. Sub-production officer. My name is Sterling. I'm a nurse. Sarah Jenkins said and presented a small and gentle smile. I will make it yours. Acceptance and initial review before implementation. The surgeon will see you. If you follow me there, Part 3. Sterling didn't move. He looked at her. An outstretched hand, then back to it. On his face, his expression hardened. Nurse Jenkins, Sterling said, did the tests. The name seemed suspicious. A piece of meat. Are you actively working? Sarah closed her eyes, surprised. Question, I am a civilian nurse. Colonel, I've been in Balboa for 15 years. Years ago. If you were a citizen, Sterling, it's cut off, the word tastes like ash. It is sharp in the mouth, a mocking insult. I asked for a military supplier. I need one. Someone who helps with war damage. They are not people who are used to sitting. Bandages on bruised and scraped knees. Holly was silent. Many heads. She turned around. Sarah slowly lowered her hand. Her appearance hasn't changed, but eyes, hazel and sharp, seem to be assessing him. With renewed vigor. Colonel, yours. The condition indicates acute pain. Orthopedic surgeon, Commander Holloway, I am in surgery. I am in the geriatric ward. Nurse. I am fully qualified to assess. Causes injury and pain management protocols until it is released. Painkillers. Sterling joked, I am taking a step closer, rising above him. I don't need pills, and I don't need pills. Civic guessing game. I have metal. Fragments stuck in the iliac crest. They also know what an IED explosion does. Bone density in 20 years. Am I too much? Known for his explosive injuries, Colonel Sarah said in a low voice. I doubt it's like that, Sterling failed. Unless you chose him. He got up and watched Grey's Anatomy. He turned around. Back to the scary young corpsman. On the table. Bring me a corpsman, boss, a truly gifted person uniform. I don't allow citizens. It touches me. Sarah stayed with her husband. She came back. She didn't leave. She was the only one. Her arms were crossed in front of her. Colonel Sterling, it's up to you to refuse healthcare. Okay, but I'm the only one who gets it. Now to help you. You're sweating, your pupils are dilated and you are to your advantage point on the left. It causes secondary stress on your lower back. Your back hurts. Let me help you. You. I said no, Sterling shouted, the sound coming from the linoleum floors. I'm waiting for Halloween. Me too. Wait, I'll find someone with a higher rank. Their collar, not their union card. The bag, he said, turning his back. He is powerfully pushed behind the line. The chairs, shaking in front of him, sat down. He exposed his pain. Sarah looked at him. She has been a long time. Young nurse. You could have run inside to cry. Rest room. Proud nurse can do it. They fought. Sarah did neither. He adjusted his glasses and took them. She walked over to him, holding her notebook. Colonel, I'm not going anywhere, she said. She said, her voice falling into the register. Iron wrapped in velvet, because in 10 minutes that hip will be gone. It closes completely, and you just need help getting up. I'll be here now. Sterling looked intently and closed his eyes. You're fired, nurse. This is a hospital, Colonel, isn't it? The parade ground, she said in a soft voice. You are my patient until I leave. She sat across from me. He crossed his legs and waited. The battle lines have been drawn. Navy Medical Reception Hall. The center lasted for 45 minutes. A casual observer, he was just a man. Sitting on a chair and sitting on a nurse in front of him, he was busy examining the maps, but the tension in the air was strong enough. Drowned. Mike Sterling. It was getting worse. He knew it and hated it. As she knows. This made him move forward. The doors are gone, mixed with pulse, white hot. Shrapnel, roadside memorial. A bomb exploded in Ramadi in 2006, possibly millimeter removed, but in the hip joint is a strong structure, a millimeter felt like a mile. He changes his weight and the breath leaves him. Before he pursed his lips. Sarah didn't look up from the board. 7 out of 10, she asked casually. Are you worried about your business? Sterling is stuck at work. Outside, sweat pouring down his forehead. It looks like 8. Maybe 9, that's all. It continues, it changes. You go. Strong. Muscle spasms begin to appear. We couldn't find anyone who could relax the muscles. We will be taking anti-inflammatory medication soon. To cut your pants because you can't stand them. Down. I've survived worse than a strong man. I did 1 lap, Sterling grumbled. Through the groin and shoulder I walked 3 clicks to get to the evacuation site. I think I can buy a chair in San Diego. Gammer, Sarah, repeatedly, a twist of words with a foreigner who speaks a foreign language getting to know each other. Finally, she raised her head. 2008, bad winter. Only the heat kills. People. Sterling stopped, his eyes fixed on her. Did you read the poem quickly? Colonel, I haven't read your file. I know. History. Taifa's History Channel. No, with mockery, even though his voice was weak now. Something like that. She got up. Colonel, please put your selfishness aside. He is the commander of the Dark Horse. Your men are now practically needed. You are a burden to yourself. Let me answer you. Give me an intravenous injection. And prepare for Halloween. He is now being weaned from his knee prosthesis. He will be here in 20 minutes. He looked at the clock. The pain, he may be blind. His vision, it faded at the edges. He hated it. Civilians. They found them gentle, without commitment, without that discipline. He decided his existence. But he pragmatist. He could not command. If he were the hospital floor commander, he fell unconscious. Okay, spit. But you spit. The basics. You'll get your veins pierced, you'll get your ass kicked. The bag. If you don't understand at some point, you're done. I'll find Corman. Okay. Sarah's face went blank. Hello, no, ma'am. She signaled for the common man to take her. Wheelchair. Hidalgo, Sterling ordered, holding the armrests. Colonel, I said. He ran upstairs, cleaning himself up. Willing to force his legs straight ahead. He took 2 steps forward. His left leg was broken. He didn't have it. Floor. Before it is the best. She responded. Sarah moved at that speed. She resisted with her appearance. She went inside. She is losing weight, supporting her shoulders. Under his good arm, holding her place wide. 220-pound sailor found dead, a weightless cry. I have it. She whispers, her voice penetrating directly into him. Above. There was no civilian voice. Nurse. It was a commanding voice. A man who used to drag corpses. Turn right. Lean on me. Don't. A vegetarian teenager, mine, Sterling. He was very shocked and in a lot of pain. To argue. He leaned on her and he led him to the wheelchair. He advanced in an orderly manner when he fell. On the seat, breathing heavily. She looked up. She hadn't come out yet. Breathe. She adjusted her soft shirt, a face that returns to that good state grandfather's mask. Triage 3, it has been reported to the regular law. The atmosphere in the exam hall clinical and cold. Sarah moved. Effectively, and she's wearing gloves. Sterling prepared his arm for an intravenous injection. I watched him like a hawk. You have perseverance. He willingly agreed, even though he put his hands in his. He understands. When people stopped yelling at me, she replied dry. She wiped the inside. Her elbow. She took a deep breath. The needle is in. A perfect stitch. A glimmer of blood. Connected. Ends in 10 seconds. I can, Sterling muttered. 4-1. Civil, Sarah connected the saline solution. Bag. She turned away from the computer terminal. To record important information. They love it very much. Anger, Colonel. It makes your blood boil. Pressure is not good for healing. It continues. It keeps me alive, he reckoned. It keeps my people alive. In life, you don't understand. They close at 5 p.m. and return home. What? Cats, garden. Sarah stopped writing. She didn't come back. He immediately turned around and left the room. Silence except for the sound of the wind, conditioning. I don't have a cat, she said in a soft voice. I don't have a home to go to. Not anymore. My husband died 5 years ago. Excuse me, said the gunman, named Sterling. Initiating the writing reflex. Civilian life has its own tragedies, I estimates. Then Sarah returned, and for the first time, Sterling saw a flash of fire. Her eyes. Just like that, it disappeared quickly. It appeared, but it bothered him. I think the uniform is the only thing, Colonel, are you a soldier, she asked. I am. I think the uniform represents sacrifice. You don't deserve it, he said, bowing twice. You will treat the wounds, of course, but you don't know how we found them. I don't know what the whistling sound is. Smell of gunpowder or burning oil and blood. You have corrected us and sent us. Come back. You are a mechanic. We are a competition. Engines. Mechanic. She repeated. I'm a little sad. A smile played on her lips. Is this it? You think it's me? Sterling, prove me wrong. Challenge, painkillers begin the sharpness is reduced, making it more bold. Tell me how close you are to him. Deadly zone. Watch on CNN. Sarah went to the sink to wash herself. She dried her hands slowly. Paper towels. The air in the room was visible. To be heavy, full of static electricity. The electricity that made his hair stand on end. Sterling's hands went up. She looked. To him, her face was completely blank. A polite description of customer service previously worn. Corpsman, Colonel, she said. You asked. Someone who knows the difference between the shape of the femur and fibula below the thigh. He grabbed her polka-dotted shirt by the collar. Sterling thought for a second that it was. He stepped back and opened his mouth. He resisted, but she didn't take off her shirt. She grabbed the left handle. Undershirt, long-sleeved white thermal sweater. She put it under the blanket and pushed it away. Up. She wrapped the thing around her wrist, beyond the elbow. Sterling's eyes widened. There, on the inside of her arm, cover pale skin from wrist to ankle. It was an elbow, a tattoo. But there was neither a butterfly nor a flower. It was chaotic, beautiful, terrifying. Wall painting in black and gray. The central part was an eagle, a globe, and an anchor, the holy emblem of the Navy. But it is placed above. Medical Corps caduceus. And woven. It was through the anchor chain. Sharp, sharp lines of a map. He knew the letters. He knew that letter. Fallujah Road Network, Jolan District. And below, in bright Gothic. The text contained the words, "So that others can too." Stay. But Sterling said, "Let's get this out of here." The lump in his throat, it wasn't the card. It was a small, clear logo, painted on. Right near the bend of her elbow. Skull with a shovel, black horse. The coat of arms of the Union is a third of a fifth, and a side of it date, November 2004. Sterling looked at it intently. The year of the Spirit anger, Iraq's bloody war. You, Sterling stammering, his mind trying to reconcile middle-aged and elderly people. The woman with the ink on her arm. It was you. He attached 3/5 to 04. Sarah didn't answer immediately. He rolled up his sleeve an inch. There was a mark there, sharp and ugly. A piece of meat that looks like taken from the watermelon ball. It wasn't easy to connect, Colonel Sarah said. She said, her voice dropping to a whisper. The one who carried the weight of 1,000 people. I was a head surgical nurse. For Bravo Surgical Company, in Hell House. We didn't just fix you. I pity you. From the sidewalk, she said. He took a step towards him and his finger on his chest. And when? At the time, Gonnie Miller, Sergeant Major, he entered with broken legs. I didn't wait for my knees, doctor. I am wearing it with my shoelaces because we didn't have any cats anymore. So don't be afraid. Sit there and tell me you don't know. The smell of oil and blood. I washed it out of my hair regularly. He did. Sterling was frozen. A drop in the blood, only sound in the room. The event was held. She only served. As if she served in hell from which his name is derived. Miller, Sterling whispered. You saved Gunn. Miller. He's dead, Sarah said plainly. He died holding my hand and looking for me. He told his wife that he loved her. It was me. The last thing he saw. It's not the Navy. Me, one. Hamburger in the trash. The silence that followed was deafening. It was quiet in the exam hall. Heavier than Sterling Kevlar jackets, it was used to capture computer sound. It was as if the ventilator had been turned off, as if it had been swallowed. The gap of revelation. Sterling. I looked at the color on Sarah's arm, map of the Jolan district, the death zone. The 3rd captain, the 5th Marines have bled for every inch. Dust. He looked up from his tattoo. Her face. The wrinkles around her eyes, he sees it as a sign. A tired, middle-aged housewife, she now looked like something completely different. Sculptures of grief. These were symbols. With a witness. You are an angel. Sterling whispered, his understanding. It felt like a physical assault. The Angel of Jolan. It was a legend he heard when he was the new captain. The shout speaks of ships. A nurse in an intensive care unit surgical system, FRSS, mobile injury A unit that moved along the front lines for refusing to wear a bulletproof vest because his work limits him movement. They said she had blood for that. She continued to have her elbows bent for 3 consecutive weeks. That's garlic and minced meat. They bled when they ran out of morphine. Sarah is still pulling her hair out. Cover the map, cover the skull, history covers. I hate that name, she said in a soft voice. There are no angels in it. War, Colonel. Only ghosts and survivors. Sterling, I thought you were a legend. There is a whispering voice. We listened to the USSR. The mortars hit directly. The medical team was destroyed. According to Sarah, most of them the computer, even her hands it was shaking a little. It was November 12, they put us in a deserted place. The school building. They entered the mortars. From the north. The first one took generator. The second one has triage tent. I was in the back, she rubbed at the wound on her chest. She stood, her eyes unfocused, staring. Through the pure white wall San Diego hospital and I saw a smoker a bright red tent in Iraq. I have the following. It works for 6 hours on battery power, he continued. We didn't have enough hands. I had to choose, Colonel. Black label or red label. Who gets plasma and who doesn't? To find a hand to hold them when they die. Gunny Miller. He was a red flag. It got dark. I tried. Oh God, I tried. Sterling felt a wave of shame, so powerful, almost covering the pain. The hip was just scolding this woman. He called her a good citizen. He mocked him for not recognizing the smell. I left with blood on me. I left at 05, said Sarah, answer the question that wasn't asked. It hasn't happened yet. I haven't been able to wear the uniform. No more. When I always did, it smells like burning flesh. I came here to Balboa because I couldn't leave the Marines alone. Just me. It is important to treat them without any level, without politics. I wanted it. Be Sarah, just a nurse, she said. So, her appearance became stronger again. Yes, Colonel, I am a citizen now, but don't confuse my lack of a degree with an lack of ability. I have done more than I should. Marines reunited like you, Sterling swallowed hard. The pain in my armpit is now dull and throbbing. He shouted, but his ego was troubled. Try to sit up straight and force yourself to sit up straight. The level of respect in the attitude, it's usually reserved for generals. I apologize, Sterling said. The words. It felt strange, but it was necessary. I was offline. I guessed it. I guessed what you saw, Sarah interrupted. Of course. That's what Marines are trained for. To do. Assess threats. I am not a threat, Colonel, I am your salvation. She reached out and adjusted the flow. It's an intravenous injection. Now tell me about the pain. I can't stand it, not real pain. Version. The truth. Sterling looked at him. Really? He looked. She turned to her and nodded. That's not all. Not. It feels as if someone has thrown it. Boiled water in a kettle. There is a popping sound behind the hip bone, it sank deep into the gut. Sarah's eyes narrowed. Immediately. My grandfather's compassion. It disappeared, replaced by a sharp one, focus on the battle clinic hunter. Polson, she repeated. Is this it? Rhythm. Does it match your heart rate? Yes, Sterling sighed, wiping away his sweat. It's him, his upper lip said. Loudly. Sarah didn't speak. He immediately approached him and sat down. Her hand on her waist, not on her hip. Lower abdomen. Above the thigh. It's hard to push. Sterling shouted. Inaudible harsh sound, it's compressed. It's compressed, Sarah murmured. She waved her hand down, look at the pulse on his left leg. She frowned. She checked her right leg. Turn left again. What? Sterling? He asked, noticing the change in her character. What is it? Your pedal stroke. Sarah said. She is weak on the left side, she a sharp and professional voice. And yours? Stomach guard. Colonel, when he was last X-ray. 6 months ago. Daily routine investigation. About shrapnel. Where exactly? Are you stuck? You're stuck in the ilium. The doctor said it was covered in a capsule. The packed shrapnel does not move, Sarah said angrily. She tore the Velcro. Wall-mounted blood pressure monitor. She wrapped her hand around his arm, she listened to the car. They turned on the light and listened carefully. She looked at the stethoscope. She looked at the counter. Then she released her valve. The blood pressure. It has announced the harvest. More than 60-90. When you came, I was over 85 years old, over 130 years old. I feeling tired, Sterling nodded his head. Leaning on the head. The room started to float. It only takes one time. Minute. Sarah never gave it to him. She turned away. Pressed the red employee help button around and the button on the wall. The alarm rang. In the hallway. Sharp kick. A cry indicating an emergency. Nurse Jenkins. The new nuclear man. The host shook his head, he seemed startled by the alarm. The gurney is here now. Sarah is screaming. It wasn't a question. It was an order. Presented with voice and authority, a fitness instructor and a facial vein. Tell them we have a suspect in iliac. Blood vessel rupture code 3. Blood vessel. Corman muttered. But what is here is for ortho. Did I start talking? Officer Zatengna. Sarah turned to him, her eyes shining. Move. Corman out. Sterling. He looked at her, his gaze narrowing. Tears, he muttered. That sounds bad. The shrimp wreckage moved, Sarah said, leaning over. This on him, her face close to his. Mike, he didn't just walk away. He interrupted. Something is bleeding inside you. We need to move. It was the first time she had used his. His name was the last thing. He heard it before darkness took over. The world has turned into a flash of chaos. Noise and flashing light. Lieutenant. Colonel Sterling was on the move. Looking up at the acoustic ceiling tiles he passed by in a hurry. Someone shouted, it's a beep. Tank. 70/40. We will lose. Radial pult. Fluids fully opened. Pressure. Where are the suitcases? What about the surgeon? Sterling tried. On his head, but his body felt like it was. He recognized the sound of the lead, she shouted. It was Sarah. They broke through 2 double doors. Sea of harm. The weather here was colder. He stood up. The rough hands that held him the sheet under it and transferred to one a strong trauma table. A trauma team is approaching. 1. The PA system announced that it was overloaded. The young resident in the white coat ran. I looked at the monitors. Oh, what? I thought it was a nice pair of jeans, right? Consultation. Retroperitoneal hemorrhage. Sarah, her voice broke the silence. She was inside. The head of the bed that controls the airway. The patient was injured in a match between 20 top players. Years of shrapnel migration have left him hypothalamic. In the second egg, it needs blood, not salt water. Rooms say the resident hesitated. We need a CT scan when we see Saran's nurse. To make sure before we look at the stomach, Sarah screamed as she grabbed her resident. Give your hand and force it on Sterling. His stomach is flat, he's as strong as a board. If you send him to the city, he will die in the city. Elevator. Very good. You should do it. Close the aorta or get it to O now. I can't open it if it's not here. The doctor who was treating him. The resident was shocked. Dr. Holloway is still cleaning. Then, find another doctor, Sarah shouted. Sterling's eyes flickered. He felt cold. Very cold. It seemed right. Gerera, just like the hole it was in, I bled for 3 hours waiting for the bird. That was it, he thought, from a piece of iron 20 years late. By then in the lobby in San Diego, a feeling was felt. A strong, warm hand gripped his shoulder. My hand. Mike, it didn't happen much on my part. Sarah, she leaned over him. She didn't even see him. Supervisors. She looked straight ahead. Don't get lost from me, Navy. I don't want Lua to die in my turn. Sarah, she said with difficulty. The card. Forget it. Card. Focus on my voice. Follow up. Start shouting in a loud and sustained voice. Tone. Alert, it codes. Resident, she shouted. She paddled. No, Sarah. He pushed the resident aside. He had nothing. Pressure. There is nothing to push. P's. Pulseless electrical activity. Hypokalemia. Start compressions. Press. AP. Sarah rose to the top of the rankings. Immediately. She twisted her fingers. Together, he has his head up high. Sterling's huge chest and started working. Pump. 1 2 3 4. Come on, Mike. He moaning in pain. War. Sterling, it was flying. It was in a gray corridor. He saw faces at the end of the corridor. Without using Gunny Miller. 3/5 of them never returned home. Come on, more cigarettes, relying on HESCO defenses. No. However, as Miller said, my lord. I'm not done with you yet. Fool, fool, fool. Sarah's compressive strength cruel. She cracked my ribs. He didn't care. She forced him. The heart pumps out the little blood, he's gone. I want that blood. Sarah. They shouted to the nurses and ran to room. Come in. Pressure bag. Blood. Dr. Holloway's grave is 2 minutes away. Outside. We don't have 2 minutes, Sarah. I stopped the compressions to check the pulse. Nothing. She looked at the resident. Is it a full moon? Death Rio endovascular resuscitation aortic occlusion was a particular problem. Device, rolled up balloon to block the anterior aortic valve, an internal part that stops bleeding from the inside. The chest and the blood inside it, mind and heart. This was great. This was dangerous. And often done by surgeon. I've never done one, the resident agreed, and his face turned pale. She looked at the damaged car. She looked at it. The dead sailor on the table. And she did. A choice that could end her career. A choice that could land him in prison. She didn't succeed. Open the event, she ordered. Nurse Jenkins, you can't. I was so scared. Proven intravenous access under fire conditions, it shook. I put 3 of these in. A hole in Ramadi. Open the damned kit or get out of my way. The room is quiet. Authority sent from her, of course. It was the angel of Jolan. Floor. The resident opened the device. Sarah moved with incredible speed. He took the ultrasound scan with him. The left hand, which is closer to the needle. Okay. Compressions, wait, she shouted. She scanned the right femoral artery. He found a good leg. She said so. A needle, a blood spurt. She had telephone catheter. The resident handed it over. To her. She inserted the long, thin tube inside. In Sterling's veins, leading him blindly through emotion and reference points. The body in her head, she had to do it. A balloon high enough to block that blood it flows to the waist, but not that high. It stopped the blood flow to the kidneys. Balloon, she said softly. It burst. Sterling's intra-aortic device. Everyone looked at the monitor. For 10 agonizing seconds, nothing happened. The line remained flat. Then a beep, then another. Blood pressure, which non-existent, unexpectedly recorded. The 6040th, then the 8050th, connecting. She licked it, forced the remaining blood out. Return to your heart and mind. The resident sighed and looked. Our heartbeat is very happy, Sarah said appreciatively. Sarah didn't respect it. She fell. A little, sweat drips from his nose. She's wearing her mask. He's in stable condition. Take him there. Oh, Holloway can now fix the crack. Don't let him lose his blood. The doors had exploded. Dr. Holloway, the tall man. With silver hair, he ran inside, still tied up. He took off his surgical mask. The scene of the accident. The car in the accident, covered in blood. Floor, rib catheter comes out. It's from Sterling, and what kind of attitude does Sarah have? There, puffing out his chest. Situation, Holloway, Iliaka was shattered by bomb fragments, he said. Persecution, the resident reported, she a trembling voice. He gave a code. Nurse. Jenkins. She put it on again. He brought it back. Holloway stopped. He looked at the device. Look. Sarah. He knew Sarah was a good nurse, but he didn't even know that she even knew what it was. It was a scam, let alone how to enter it. Code patient. You said so, Sarah. Choi asked. He was dead, doctor, Sarah said in a trembling voice. Now the adrenaline is running out. I had no choice, Holloway observed. Monitor. The setup seems perfect. You saved his life, he said. Team. Let's move or one of us is ready. There is a window. Let's not waste it. When Sterling was expelled, Holloway she stood and put her hand on Sarah. Shoulder. We need to talk about this. Later, he said seriously. But okay. Work, Lieutenant. He used her old status. He knew. Sarah. She stood alone in the empty trauma room. Sterling's hands were covered in his own blood. She went to the sink and turned it on. He rolled up his sleeves and water. The water turned red as she drew it. She looked at the tattoo on her arm. The card, from your side. Not today, she whispered. A scalpel and a shovel. You won't find it. Today. Intensive care unit in Beloa. It was a quiet cathedral of technology, high contrast with the noise of the traumatic situation. Lieutenant Colonel Mike Sterling was awakened by a rhythmic sound. The roar of a fan, through the pipe. The throat has already been removed. He felt like he was swallowing broken glass, the left side was heavy and dull, a piece of ice. He closed his eyes, adjusting to the dim light. There was an image. Standing at the foot of the bed, she checked the table. Sarah was not there. It was Dr. Holloway. "Welcome to Land of the Living, Colonel Holloway," he said in a low voice. He looked tired. "We were very scared," Sterling said. "Try to talk, draw, and accept." Holloway's ice cubes. "Scratch that," Holloway said. He removed the shrimp. It was crispy. Edges. "It looks like an old piece. Soviet artillery shell. It will tire you out. Common iliac artery. No bleeding occurred. 2 liters in your retroperitoneal space. To be honest, Mike, you should have died." Sterling's memory was a scattered blur. He remembered the pain. He remembered it. He remembered the waiting room. "Sarah, nurse," Sterling whispered. "Sarah, she was there." Holloway. His expression hardened. He took it. "Hold a card and sit nearby bed. We need to talk about this. Sarah Jenkins saved your life. There is no ambiguity. You have given a code. Yours." Her heart stopped. She was reborn. Process. She inserted a balloon. "To stop the bleeding from your veins, it may lead you to surgery." "So she did her job," Sterling said. Confused by the doctor's sad tone. I did my job, Mike," Holloway corrected. "Reboa is a surgical procedure. This is not within the scope of practice. For a civilian nurse in this institution. She is not qualified for this." He didn't expect the engagement. The eyes of the hospital administration, his unauthorized intervention has taken place. Surgery on a high-ranking officer. Sterling tried to sit up, but the pain he forced her to come back. "She saved me. If I had waited, I would have been in a box. I know that. I know this, but the hospital director Stephen Caldwell, check this out. Otherwise, it will be a big burden. The lawsuit is waiting to happen. If it were her. If you die, they will cut your vein." The hospital was being sued. Forgetting to play nurse. Surgeon. Sterling felt like rekindling an old fight. Anger. "Where is she?" "She is sitting. Urgent administrative leave," Holloway aside, "we are waiting for the review board. They will leave tomorrow morning." "Mike, you're welcome, they can report it too. She is pursuing a state nursing board. Their license has been revoked. Call it gross negligence and call it a cowboy. Bar. Cowboy medicine." Sterling groaned. "She a war veteran. She learned this from dust. Caldwell doesn't care. What happened in Fallujah? He is interested. About the protocol. And now Sarah. It stands alone. It looks like Sterling." There were lines of blood running through his hand. On a window with the San Diego sun he tried to break the fog. He remembered the tattoo he had for others to do. She lived her faith and now for this they crucified him. When he was, this experiment. Sterling asked tomorrow. Around 090 on the side of the administration. "But you are Colonel, I don't have permission to move." "You are." It was about 12 hours after the peak. Sterling appeared. With cold eyes and Holloway strong as steel. "Doctor, you've got the tire. Now take me. Outside the garage. I'm going." That attempt. "Mike, you can't walk." "Then bring me one wheelchair," Sterling ordered. And take it. Uniform. If they have it. The seafarer who has the right to rescue the seafarer, they need to see me. Eyes while doing this. Conference room on the top floor of the Navy Medical Center is clean, air-conditioned, and it smelled of lemon nail polish and bureaucracy. It has a long mahogany table. Room. Director Stephen is sitting in the main room. Caldwell, the man in the perfect gray suit who hasn't seen the day of war. His life was with him. The hospital's chief legal advisor and director of nursing. Sarah Jenkins is seated. Across the table. I didn't wear cleaning clothes today. She was wearing a light blue jacket and her hands were tied around her. It was quiet and still at the table. She looked. A little bit in the background, an institution where she served for 15 years. Miss Jenkins, Caldwell began to adjust. The glasses. We have them. Incident report. The facts are not in debate. They used the Reboa tool. A patient without a doctor. You have exceeded hospital protocol. They ignored the chain of command and the process you are performing. He is not licensed in the state of California. The patient was in prison, Sarah. He said quietly but in a calm voice. Blood was shed. The bruises were it was ineffective because the tank was empty. If I hadn't pulled the aorta, he would have. He suffered irreversible brain death. In 3 minutes. Dr. Holloway still 2 minutes away. Speculative thinking is legal advice. Interrupted. Resident Dr. Evans, it was there. You controlled it. Dr. Evans was stunned, Sarah replied. He accepted it. He didn't know how to use the device. She. Where did you get this training? Caldwell asked in a skeptical tone. Because I don't see it in your file here. 1 Balboa. I learned this in Al-Anbar State, Iraq. 2004, Sarah in 2004. Navy Commander Dr. Aris Control. We didn't have expensive equipment at the time. We used Foley catheters and suppositories. But it worked, Caldwell breathed as he breathed, from the glasses. Miss Jenkins, we respect for your past service. But this civil hospital in San Diego, a surveillance tent in a war zone. Rules. Those rules are there to protect patients. They can't be easily marketed. It's a reckless threat. We have nothing. Quitting your job is not an option. It will be effective immediately and will apply. She presented the matter to the council. Sarah looked down. Her hands. She didn't cry. She didn't cry. Begging. She knows the rules. She knows that. She broke up. But she knew it too. Sterling was alive. He should have been. Enough. I understand, she whispered. Is there anything else you want to tell him? Caldwell asked, looking for release document. The sound of an electric motor cutting out silently. Double doors. The back of the room opened with loud steps. Lieutenant Colonel Mike Sterling Aladergum. He went inside. He turned inside. He sat inside. High back electric wheelchair, left side legs elevated and wrapped in weight compression garment, but from the waist down. He was an absolute military superpower. A man, perhaps a formidable corporal. He went to the house and took it. Service Alphas. Olive-colored tunic. It is printed sharp enough to cut paper. The bruises on his chest were colorful. Brick of history. Silver star, bronze star with V, purple heart with 2 stars. It seemed as light as a ghost. Even so, but his eyes were burning. For him, Dr. Holloway stood up and said, guilty partner. Colonel Sterling, Caldwell stammered and stood up. You shouldn't be here. You're in. Critical situation. I'm sitting in a chair, Caldwell said. My ears. It works fine, Sterling exclaimed. He moved the chair until it reached the right. He didn't go to Sarah. Director. She looked at him. Give it to her. A subtle head bow. Sarah looked at him, her eyes wide. Mike, what are you doing? You're laughing. Thank you, he murmured. Then he turned it over. A chair to look at the board. You shoot. Her. Sterling asked in his own voice. Connell, this an internal human resources issue, the lawyer said. The counsel said, it is not appropriate for, you're not very appropriate, Sterling laughed. A loud, screaming sound. Inappropriate. I will die in your hallway because you are me. The conference system is supported for 6 people. Weeks. Not suitable for a 20-year-old. The resident stands in a circle. The commander is bleeding on the table. Ms. Jenkins broke the law, Caldwell. She insisted, even though he seemed worried. Surgery was performed. She performed a miracle. He pushed his fist against the armrest. Chair. Do you know who this woman is? She is a nurse, Caldwell said. Lieutenant Sarah Jenkins, a Navy Nurse Corps, retired. Sterling helped fix the problem. The Navy is victorious. Medal of Honor for bravery. She served with Bravo Surgical Company Fallujah during Operation Phantom Fury. The Marines called him the Angel of Angels. Jolan. The room is quiet. The nursing director raised his head, surprised. This information was not in HR found her file. Sterling reached out to him. Bag. It was a war, and he was overcome by pain, but a small folded piece of paper. Traces of vital body parts from trauma breast. I called Dar. Holloway to remove the stumps, Sterling said, moving the newspaper. Bring the mahogany table to Caldwell. Timestamp, 1402, heartbeat 0. BP 0. Technically, gentlemen, I was dead. There was a corpse on your table. To 1. Finger on paper. 1403, blood pressure is over 50 and heart rate is 110. This is the moment she posted. She did not put the patient at risk. Very happy. That doesn't change it. Colonel Caldwell disputed the responsibility. Even though his voice has lost its power. If we allow nurses to take on this responsibility, Sterling interrupted. You talk about responsibility. Okay. If you ignore it. Lady, I will personally organize a press conference. Conference in the hospital lobby. I'll do it. Tell this to every news outlet in America. The Naval Medical Center in San Diego was laid off. A war hero who saved lives because she is the decorated naval commander. He did not complete the appropriate documentation. Sterling leaned forward when he heard the voice. I fall into a dangerous whisper. Mr. Caldwell, commander of 3,000 Marines. They are very loyal and have a lot. Loud voices on social media. What about you? I really want to be the one who fired him. The nurse who saved the Dark Horse commander. Caldwell palled. Legal advice. Something in the panic whispers. Optics was a nightmare, public relations. A nuclear-sized disaster. Sarah reached out and touched Sterling's hand. Arm Mike, stop. You shouldn't do that. I'm not threatening them. I'm not threatening them. Sarah, Sterling said softly. To teach them, he returned. Caldwell, here's the new deal. The nurse said that the examination indicated that Jenkins acted in emergency situations, a guide to preserving life given the type of mass casualty incident, your level of incompetence. This was a basic thing. Recovery. You will find a farm. Praise her in her file and you will be too. Make sure she is qualified to help. Trauma training for your residents, so they won't freeze next time. Caldwell. He looked at his legal advisor. He slowly shook his head. This was the only way out. We can set it up as one. Emergency allowed to roll back. I asked for the petition, the lawyer asked. He stood angrily at the tablet. The benefit of the Good Samaritan. Caldwell took a deep breath. She saw Sarah, she was very impressed. For the first time. We will do it. Download. You are waiting for power. Review, but she kept her job. He didn't smile. He nodded. Okay. Choice. He brought the chair to him. Sarah. Now, Nurse Jenkins, I believe. I am very angry from my hospital bed, and I think he's starting to yell at me. Me. Sarah stood up. Finally, tears welled up. It was pouring down her face, but she smiled and followed him. I took a wheelchair and held the handles. Come back, Colonel, she said, thinking. He was thrown out of the council chamber. Sterling looked straight ahead, his back arched. Narrow. But when the doors closed behind, he stretched out his hand and touched them. The one that rests on the handle. You won't go. There's someone behind me, he said. I won't do it either. I'm losing my doctor. After 4 months, the morning fog dissipated. From the coastal hills of Camp Pendleton, it shows the vast expanse of concrete. The parade deck of the 5th Marine Corps. The air was filled with sharp staccato. The beat of drums and the shout of orders. It was a change of command ceremony. A sacred transfer of power from one person to another. Next commander, Lieutenant joined Colonel Mike Sterling. He was on stage. He was wearing his blue dress, the high collar was pulled tightly around his neck, shiny metal on the chest. The California sun stood without a stick, even though it's small, almost invisible. The change in attitude exposed the iron. And now the screws holding her hip in place. He looked out to sea, 3,000 Dark Horse Navy and Marines Army, pay attention. They stand between the generals and the VIP politician, a woman in a simple way floral dress. Sarah Jenkins looked outside. Place between uniforms, hold tight. Her bag was filled with fear. Sterling cleaned the bag. The throat, the voice is getting worse at the top. The stage of the rally. He has already given formal speech, to praise the main thing, he promised to give victory thanks to his family. But it's not over. Marines, Sterling, the voice was heard in the voice. We learned that. The uniform makes us brothers. We have learned. These are the eagle, the globe, and the anchor. Pain and dust found in Boots Camp. We learned that we are a race. He stood alone, his eyes searching. Until the people understood. Sarah tense. But 4 months ago I was. The warrior spirit reminds us that this is what it does. They are not always wearing camouflage uniforms. Sometimes I wear blue cleaning clothes. Sometimes he looks like a civilian. You can pass through the corridor without it. Second look. The whisper passed. People. It was off script. Sterling continues to stand here today, the voice is filled with emotion, because the woman didn't let me die. She disobeyed orders. She jeopardized her career. And she made her living on this. A line to save the broken old Navy. He was too stubborn to admit that he needed it. Help him if he falls. The microphone went to grandstand. Sarah Jenkins, front and center. Sarah froze. The generals around her he turned. A young captain made a sign. To make her stand. She stood trembling. Up. Follow, Sterling ordered. Sergeant Major of the battalion, a high-ranking person, marched. In the tent, he offered his arm to Sarah, and he accompanied him down the stairs. The sacred asphalt of the parade deck. He walked until he stood in front of her. The stage, pale from the creation, the Marines behind her. Sterling staggered up the stairs. The stage ran to meet him. Ground level. He didn't look. She was looking at the nurse like a patient. She looked at him like a soldier. With the Savior. You told me that you told me about you once. Sterling said, he was just a mechanic. She speaks as slowly as she can and the front row could hear it, and so could you. To wash the wart out of your hair regularly at night, he put his hand in his pocket and you took out a small velvet box. Absolutely. You should wear a combat action ribbon, you Sterling said he won at Jolan Park. The documents were gone. The room continued its work. You were a ghost. He opened the box. There was a gold needle inside, it wasn't normal. A medal, but a custom logo. The skull and hooves of the dark horse, associated with the medical caduceus. They put the men in a metal workshop. Sterling smiled. Real warmth. The smile that appeared in his eyes. It's not you. Citizen, Sarah. You are the dark horse. You are one of us. You always have been. He attached the logo to the collar of his shoe. It's the end. Come on, Lieutenant Colonel. Sterling, Iron Man, Commander. The man who refused to accept her help took action. He pushed his heels together. He raised himself to his full height, and he gave a slow, sharp, and perfect clap of his hands. Hello. It wasn't a polite greeting. It was a salute. Battalion. The sergeant major shouted from behind them. Present, arms. 3,000 Marines moved in like that. 3,000 hands are glued to the targets. The sound was like thunder. Sarah stood there, finally shedding tears. Filling up, years pass. Silence, hiding years from her service, for 1 year only nurse. She couldn't hide anymore. She looked. The tattoo on her arm, hidden underneath. She rolls up her sleeves, and knows she doesn't need to. To prove something. They knew. Sterling has long since bid farewell. He leaned in, his eyes locked on hers. Welcome home, Lieutenant, he said. She whispered. Sarah straightened her back, he wiped his eyes, and for the first time she feels depressed at the age of 20. The battle lifted from her shoulders. She smiled. Thank you, Colonel. How wonderful. Journey from the stern Navy. The commander refused to help at the invitation. A place to salute the entire military. The parade deck. This simply shows that true heroism has nothing to do with the uniform you wear. Grab it today, but the spirit that holds it always inside you. Sarah Jenkins confirmed. This is exactly how a warrior's heart beats. It is as strong and cleansing as it is in the body. Armor. If this story has affected you, or if you are hero nurse or worthy veteran confirmation, please press button. It really helps the channel. Don't forget to share this video. Friends, and subscribe for more powerful stories of courage and salvation. I want to know what you think. Do you think so? Civilians believe they are working in a war-due areas